Alan, shut the electric off. All right, the meeting can come to order. This is the Monday, May 15th, 2013, 7 p.m. work session of the River Edge Mayor and Council. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending notices on December 21st, 2012 to the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News. We positioned notice of the meeting on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Borough Hall, and we filed notice of the meeting with our municipal clerk. I'd like to remind everyone that we have 3 exits to the council chambers, 2 to the front and 1 to the rear. We are on the record both by video and audio. If a member of the public wishes to speak, they need only stand and identify themselves, give us your name and address, and you can ask a question or make a comment. If you wish to be seen as well as heard, you need to approach the microphone so that you are within camera range. Can I have a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Estrada?
Present.
Councilman Paula?
Here.
Councilman Mignola?
Here.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Here.
Councilman Papaleo?
Here.
And Mayor Mastrobuolo?
Present. Okay, we have several borough administrator topics tonight. First one was a presentation for capital alternatives, but I did receive a email from Marlene Casey that at this time she has nothing new to report to us. So, unless Alan, you don't have any additional information, we'll skip that and go on to number 2. Bergen County Utilities Authority Solid Waste Comparative Marketing Program. Alan?
Thank you, Mayor. If I may, we received a letter from the Bergen County Utilities Authority, the Solid Waste Cooperative Marketing Program. They have a group that goes out together to bid out the disposal of our solid waste. We've been part of this program in the past. They received a quote of $64.85 per ton, inclusive of the $3 recycling tax. In the past contract we had was for $67.27. So this comparative $61.85 without the tax represents a decrease of $5.42 per ton, or an 8% decrease. I have recommended this contract in the past, not only because it's been competitive, but also because we're dealing with a reliable entity here. Back in 1991, Louis Goldshore, an attorney who represents the League in environmental matters and an environmental expert, wrote an article with regard to landfills and potential liabilities. And the point that he made was that landfills are subject to certain regulations with regard to siting, registration, operation, and if it's done improperly and you dispose of this waste improperly, then you might be subject to litigation and potential liability with regard to pollution. So I always felt it was important that we deal with a known entity, one which would safeguard the municipality from this type of exposure. For these reasons, and the price certainly is very good in terms of a decrease, I would recommend that we enter into a contract with them. Our contract expires at the end of May.
Any questions or comments?
Do you motion?
These are the, let's just have some discussion. These are the tipping fees, correct?
Yes, this is the landfill portion, not the collection.
When does the collection contract come up for?
I believe 14 is, I think October of 14 is our last year with the 5-year agreement with New Milford and the joint contract with Waste Management.
October 2014?
I think so. I'm relying on my memory here. It's not always so good.
Okay, just so that we have enough time so that we're not scrambling on looking for a replacement when the contract comes up for expiration. Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make
the motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Alan, is this what's the name of the program or the vendor? Is it the BCUA?
The BCUA Solid Waste Cooperative Marketing Program.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion to enter into a contract with the Bergen County Utilities Authority Solid Waste Cooperative Marketing Program. There's been a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we can put it on for a formal resolution.
Thank you, Mayor.
Number 3, interlocal agreement with Riverdale Board of Ed for a community garden.
Mayor, if I may, I had sent out a memorandum to all those entities which had received an allocation of open space funds this year. There was some discussion or proposals by some of those committees, commissions about using money on Board of Education property. We had a legal opinion from our former borough attorney, William Lindsley, which indicated that as long as we had an agreement between the borough and the Board of Education, that would be sufficient to meet the requirement under the open space law, and these funds could be used to maintain or develop these particular areas. The Green Team has indicated that they would like to participate in the community garden that is currently located over at the junior high school, Riverdale Board of Education, and it was my suggestion that we enter into an agreement with the Board of Ed so that in the future they might be able to use open space funds to maintain this facility and enhance the education of the students. I've had an initial discussion with Patrick Fletcher, the superintendent of schools, and he has endorsed this concept. He welcomes the Green Team and their participation in this community garden. Another source of funding for this year would also be the Sustainable Grant, and we've met with the chair of that committee and made that suggestion that some of those grant funds could also be used for this purpose as well. So what I'd like to do is, we do have a resolution on tonight to authorize the entering into this agreement. Since I don't have a complete draft ready, it would have to be subject to the borough attorney's approval. We would submit our draft to him for his review. And then if the council would release it on this basis to the Board of Education, they would, look it over and make their suggestions and perhaps return it to us, or, we could work things out with them. So that's the background behind this shared service agreement.
Okay. Any discussion? Do you need a motion or anything? It's on the resolution list, right?
Yes, I believe we have a resolution on tonight.
All right, very good. Number 4, Complete Streets Bike Path.
Mayor, I know that this was placed on the agenda so that the council would have the opportunity to be updated on Fifth Avenue and the Complete Streets program. And where we stand now is we have 2 applications that are pending before the Department of Transportation. One is a regular local improvement application, and the other is what's called a discretionary application. Those were submitted by myself and Bob Costa. And it's my understanding from attending the Complete Streets program that once the application funding is approved and we go out to bid, that Complete Streets would be part of the design specification for the areas that we're looking at. So bike safety, pedestrian, vehicle safety, this would all be taken into consideration. One of the concerns I have that I think I need to put on the record is creating a bike path on Fifth Avenue. And it's not a concern about putting a bike path there, it's how we would go about doing that. For instance, we've got about a 2-mile length that we would have to cover, and if we were to stripe that, then we would have to maintain that striping, in addition to all the crosswalks that we have to maintain. There are other ways probably to create that bike path without doing an entire striping of Fifth Avenue. I know Councilman Mignon was at the same meeting, and they had signage options and some other things. So I would ask the council that if you're going to look at something like that, that you keep the maintenance aspect in mind. And if we can find a lower cost or a lower maintenance method of maintaining something like that, I think it would be beneficial to the borough. But aside from that, I'm not sure, what other kind of discussion you wanted to have on this, but that's where we stand with Fifth Avenue.
Mayor? Ed? Yeah, the other thing I think we have to look at also is
maybe through the police department, they have to look at the impact of a bike lane in terms of parking. You'd have to remove parking from one side of the street, and they may want to do a survey of the residents to see how that's going to pan out. The other thing is when you add a facility like a bike lane, it actually winds up increasing the average speed of the traffic because you're removing friction, as we say in engineering terms, from the side. Parked cars, driveways is actually the equivalent of friction on a road, and it tends to slow traffic down. If you put a striped bike lane, it actually can have the impact of having people feel like the lanes are striped, and actually can increase the average speed on a road. So
False sense of security, kind of.
yeah. So generally what you do is on a road to slow, as a traffic calming, you don't put striping, and you try to have more basic friction, whether it's driveways or parking or something like that, bump outs. That's how you usually result in traffic calming. So I'm just saying these are concerns that we should look at before we commit to anything in design.
Okay. Next item for discussion, 135 Valley Road. Is tree on public or private property? That's the
This was the backyard tree.
What's the name of it?
Witter.
Witter.
Mark Witter.
Okay, did we have a,
Well, Mayor, the only thing I can, in order to resolve this, I believe Mark Skurbitz looked at it, but it was inconclusive. I think you'd have to stake it out, first of all, have the engineer stake it out so that we know truly where the line of demarcation is. And then we would have to look at some sort of a posting, which we've done in the past, to name it as borough property. If there's a fence on it, we would have to consider entering into an agreement with the homeowner if the fence is to remain, as we've done in the past with some encroachments. But that would be my suggestion. I think at this point, with everybody, with all due respect, eyeballing it, I don't know that that's really going to resolve the issue definitively unless we have a survey. It doesn't have to be a full survey, but we have to stake it out, so have an engineer put some definition to it.
Kathleen?
I went over there and looked at the property. The shade tree then went like the next day because of the complaint that he had about the tree. And apparently he had a fence around borough property, and that borough tree came down, and Liz Stewart said there was a lot of debris at the base of the tree, which caused it to probably come down sooner than it should have. And then when that happened, he brought his fence back to where it should have been. I have pictures, actually. So we should look at it, but apparently he decided to take some borough land, and then when the tree came down, bring his fence back in.
Did he bring the fence back in before or after Mr. Skurbitz?
Brought it back in after the tree came down,
No, but I mean...
with the installation of his new fence.
Right. Well, I think we should probably send the engineer over there. Mr. Costa has a crew that can stake the borough land, and then if there's any fences on our property, we can have the borough attorney or the building department write a letter to them for them to move the fences.
Is this an isolated property, or are you talking, you're gonna have properties, is there a fence going down?
There's a fence all the
Residents.
way around, and then the borough, it's just vacant trees behind it.
But you're just talking one property owner here.
There's a couple, actually. There's probably like 2 or 3 back there. His neighbors.
That have fences also, like, that's what I'm saying, you may open up the box here, a bunch of, so you just want to tell Mr. Costa which ones, or if he's going to stake the entire borough property.
The concern obviously is you don't want the property owners to adversely possess borough property.
Right.
But that's why Alan, I think, was saying to enter into some type of agreement.
License.
Yeah, a licensing agreement, so we don't have to have all these residents moving their fences and incurring that cost. So, especially if it's not just one property. I mean, we don't want to, I personally don't want to bother a whole block of people, to move their fences, if we don't have to, so.
But then like a borough tree comes down, that was fenced in, and and then now it's a problem, but before,
Well, that's why we have the
licensing.
licensing agreements.
There's someone in the audience who would like to speak on this particular issue while we're open. Could I open for discussion just to speak on this issue?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we can hear you, ma'am.
Okay. Margot Cole, River Shade Tree Commission. We brought the tax map with us, and we measured with the wheel, and there's probably 3 houses in a row that have about 40 feet of extra property, which we're not sure, because then it's, I believe, Coles Brook, or it's one of the streams that runs back there along Route 4. So there's probably 3 houses that have foot fences past what it says on the tax map. Now, the homeowner wasn't home when we went, and we didn't know if there was an agreement with the borough or not. Because then the rest of the houses, most of them from the road, they probably have about 40 feet after their house, and then these 3 houses go back another 40 feet. So,
Okay. All right, so is there a motion to send the engineer over there just to find out whose property it is?
so moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good. That's the first step anyway.
Mayor, we need to close.
Let's close, can we close the hearing to the public?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're back into our work session agenda. Number 2, loan of Seagrave aerial from the Bergen County Fire Academy.
Mayor, if I may, I had listed this that way because I had received an email from Greg Caridi, Deputy Chief, indicating that the ladder truck was going to have to go out for repairs, and they were looking to borrow a ladder truck to take its place. And Chief Larry Rao of the Fire Academy had basically said that all he would need is a letter from the borough stating that if we break it, we would fix it. So, as you know, the last truck that we are on loaning is from Ridgewood, and we've entered into an agreement with them. Ridgewood still has to get their paperwork back to us, but we have a formal agreement with them. In fact, I went up there and paid $1 to their treasury to make sure it was legitimate. So I was a little concerned, with just issuing a letter this way. And if we were to do an agreement through the county, with all due respect to the county, they have a lot to deal with, and they might take a little bit more time than dealing with a local municipality. But then I got an email today from Greg again, and he said that he's been speaking with the Ridgewood fire chief, and the Ridgewood fire chief has said that we could use their old ladder truck, which is getting placed out of service when the new one goes into service in the next few weeks. And Greg's thought was that since we already have an interlocal agreement, it would probably be very easy to amend that, and just include this additional truck in that agreement. Plus, Ridgewood and River Edge are both in the Bergen County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund, so there's no real insurance issues here as to how it would be handled. If you're dealing with an outside entity, there would have to be, an exchange of certificates of insurance, hold harmless, named insured, etc. So this seemed to be a very good suggestion, and if the council's agreeable to that, we could follow up and just try and get our agreements amended for this additional vehicle.
Mayor, just to add, I was speaking to Greg about this 2 nights ago, and he was sharing with us that the Ridgewood chief had volunteered when he had found out that we were going to be moving our ladder truck out. So they are more than eager and willing to do this. So we did not approach them. In a way, they approached us when they found out by happenstance that we were going to do this. So they're very supportive of our needs.
Okay, anybody else? Do we have a consensus we should accept the generosity of Ridgewood and borrow 2 of their trucks while ours are in the shop?
I feel that way. Do we need to make a motion on that?
Yes, because then we'll list it for, a formal resolution, and
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, any abstained? Thank you. All right, we have 7 items on the work session consent agenda. Does any member of the council wish to pull out for a separate discussion or have any questions regarding these 7 items? No? Can I have a motion to...
Oh, I have a
approve?
question.
Go ahead.
Number 3, the authorized mayor to execute equitable sharing agreement between the federal government and the Borough of River Edge. Can you just clarify that?
Yes, these are forfeited funds that are captured through the federal government or the prosecutor's office, and money is made available to various municipalities for purchases. We received $4,000 from this program several months ago, and I believe the chief used it for uniform modifications for the police officers. This agreement, there's $150 that we received, and this time they've asked for a written agreement on this $150, so...
The federal government has asked for?
I guess it's from the federal government through the prosecutor's office down to us. So we filled out the information for the agreement, and the mayor has been asked to sign it. I think I have to sign it. $150 is going to surplus, so...
Okay,
That's what it is now.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is on the entire consent agenda.
Yeah, that is correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, any unfinished business? Kathleen?
Just want to get updates as far as January goes, library roof, HVAC, bus shelters.
Mayor, if I may, on the generator, we're scheduled for a cutoff or turnover, if that's the appropriate language, on the 19th. Borough Hall will be shut down at 2 p.m. and Public Service will do the switchover. The Public Safety Building will go on their old generator. Councilman Vignon, do you have anything to add as you're working on that subcommittee?
No, that's where we are right now.
May 19th?
No, this coming Friday.
April 19th?
April
19th.
19th. They were going to do it last week, but the weather preempted them, so.
Okay, thank you.
And the paving will be forthcoming after that. The weather's now above 40 consistently, so they can pave it without having to use the winter mix.
We received confirmation from both the County of Bergen and New Jersey Transit with regard to the bus shelters that New Jersey Transit has received the agreements in the correct form with the correct signatures. They now have to be sent to the Deputy Attorney General for the state of New Jersey, who oversees those agreements. We will have to wait for them to come back. Once they come back signed from that level of government, then the order will be placed through the New Jersey Transit Construction Company. We will then coordinate with them for the demolition of the existing bus shelters, and New Jersey Transit will install the new ones. There will have to be, I guess, a review of the pads and the sidewalks surrounding that area. So that would be the next step on the bus shelters, Mayor.
Okay. Where are we with the ADA doors?
The ADA doors, we received the shop drawings from the vendor. Denise mailed those off the next day to the architect. The architect reviewed the shop drawings and noticed that there was a change in the door for Borough Hall. He contacted me. My reaction was this was not good because the Historic Commission had input on the style of the door. The Community Development Block Grant had approved it on the basis of the plans and the door that was in there, so that the door could not be changed. The architect was going to go back to the vendor and the contractor and speak to him about that. I have to do a follow-up on that to see where we're at, whether he's submitted the correct information now, and if he has, Denise, I believe we have the contract signed, we have whatever else we need, and we will We will issue a notice to proceed if, if that door has been fixed and we get an okay on the rest of the shop drawings. Tonight, you have before you, you've just approved on the consent agenda, but there is a resolution to hire DeCara to do the inspection work on the door as it progresses through the different stages. So we'll have a professional watching the project and the installation of the door itself. All right?
What about the library roof and the HVAC?
The library roof, I haven't reached out to Mr. Polici to see how he's doing on these specifications. We'll have to follow up on that to see if he's started on that. We know that we have to get those specs in about 60 days in order to get them, get ready to get out to bid to do a project in the fall.
And do we have any information about the Voorhees Avenue project?
Rob was in today. I don't remember. I know the materials have been delivered, they're on site, and I think the contractor had some issues with laying off some of his employees at the time and wanting to bring them back. So I don't think Rob has any major concerns about the project. It's just a matter of when it's going to get going. But I'll reach out to him and we'll give a note to the council as to where we stand.
The company said it was a weather-related
Right.
Stoppage.
Right,
They delivered something there, and then they never came back.
right. So we'll give you an update on that over the next day or two.
I have one other question, sorry, about the stream cleanouts and the mosquito controls. Are they going around doing that now, or?
Well, the issue where this came up first, we had a resident who complained. John Lynch in the Department of Public Works did an extensive clean out of Coles Brook, reported back to the sewer subcommittee. I believe we issued something on that. It's in the minutes of the sewer subcommittee. If there's a complaint, we normally refer that complaint to the Mosquito Commission, and they will either treat the ponding water or they will, if necessary, go and excavate, the debris where it's required. But again, they have a limited amount of resources too. But in the past, it's been my experience in terms of treating the ponded areas, they've been very good about that.
Alan, I don't know if the rest of the council had seen John's report on that, but if they haven't, we probably should distribute it, because he did do a lot of desnagging and a lot of clearing out in the latter part of the winter. So.
Yeah, a lot of branches.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, then, I know we saw it at the sewer subcommittee, I would suggest that you send his memo out so everybody can see the amount of work that they did.
Sure, we'd be happy to do that. Vito?
Al, on the matter of Mr. Pulice and the library roof replacement project, when we discussed the project with him about 3 weeks ago, there seemed to be a difference of opinion whether or not we had authorized him to proceed with the entire job. Now it sounds like he is proceeding with the entire job. So do we have a contract with him to go through the contract document phase, or we do?
Yes, we do.
We do.
Yes, we do.
So, and how much is this?
The only thing that was at issue was, he mentioned some site visits. I asked Denise to pull the contract to look to see if those site visits were in there. They were not. So I wrote a letter to him to see whether we were on the same level of understanding with regard to that contract, and whether the inspection end of it was covered with the site visits that he had indicated. He has not responded back to me, but the contract did go to, I believe the bid specification through a contract award. So.
And is this a contract through a resolution of mayor and council, or
Yes, yeah.
originated from a proposal that he submitted to us and then,
Oh.
because
I
I haven't
apologize
seen
for
a proposal.
Yeah, no, a proposal did come from him. In fact, we went out for RFP with several architectural firms, and the contract is based on the proposal that he submitted. So we can resubmit that to the council so everybody...
Now, here's the thing, when I asked for this information, I was told that none could be found. And the only thing I got back was the resolution approving a certain unspecified proposal for a certain kind of unspecified scope of the work. I'm not objecting to the scope of the work. Obviously, the architect is on board. But we need to be a little, clear, because I know I'm not imagining things. We thought we had only authorized him to go up to a certain level,
No,
and he maintained that he was authorized to do the entire job.
yes, and that was my understanding that night. This predates you getting on the council. The contract
know,
was
but
awarded
it
early
doesn't-
last year.
it
So
doesn't
there was a proposal, we had RFPs, and my recollection of the proposal was that it included the bid preparation, design preparation, going through contract.
It's fine.
No, that's what I'm saying,
But
but so
3
in
weeks
reality-
ago, I spent half hour reviewing top to bottom, with much to the chagrin of some of the people that were in attendance that night, to discuss maybe a much graver items that affecting the town. And I made sure I would ask the question, do you have a contract? He said, yes. We said, no, you don't. You have a contract to do up to the report. We never authorized you to proceed with the rest of the job. I'm sure it's on the record, and I'm sure I'm not imagining this.
No, but I think I said exactly what I said right now, is that my understanding at that time was that we authorized him to go, and that's been substantiated by Alan, so.
Alan, if you don't mind, I would just like to see his proposal and those of other architectural firms that may have responded to it. Thank you.
I just have two other things, sorry. I saw that the sidewalk slabs are being installed. I saw the company today, and I spoke to John. He said it would be about 2 weeks to have that done. Do you know how far they are with that, or is today the first day?
I haven't spoken to him, although I did take a walk on, and I saw, one of them being done.
Mhm.
Wanted to make sure it was the firm that we had engaged.
And,
they did just start. They just started.
okay. And the stump grinding, did you mention that to your...
Yes, that's in the Riverside minutes, which go out to the council. We did ask if anybody would be interested. Clerk's office and myself, we created a survey form for the different towns. We sent it out to the towns. We've asked them to respond. I have a couple of no responses. I might have one other town that's interested in doing this. I have a meeting on Wednesday at the Riverside Cooperative, and we'll see whether they'll hand me, the form. We'll have more participation, but you should know after Wednesday whether we are going to be part of a full cooperative group, whether we're just going to get together with one or two towns, or have to go it alone again. But that'll be in the minutes of the Riverside Cooperative, which you'll all get a copy of. But I will follow up on Wednesday, at the Wednesday meeting on that.
Thank you.
Tom?
Alan, if you recall, you may not, how much did we put in the budget for stumps?
I think about $5,000 is in the budget.
And what is our best guess for under our current, how many stumps would 5,000 cover, ballpark?
I cannot give you an estimate. It's always on a per inch basis. So if it's a really big stump, it may only be one.
We have somebody here that could probably answer that. No?
No,
Right now, we have 300 stumps that have to be
Yeah, I know.
there, so...
Okay.
Not much.
I hear the council, and I know that's why we're trying to get more bang for our buck here with the Riverside Cooperative, and
Yeah.
I've made that pitch to them. I'm not getting I will tell you, I'm not getting a great response at this point from the other towns, but maybe I'll be surprised Wednesday.
And could you just clarify, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, Alan, I'm trying to find the information, but I know the Borough of Hawthorne had gone out to bid. They go out to bid for all their tree services, and they did have some grinding as part of that. And from what I recall, it wasn't per stump, it wasn't per inch. They had some flat rates, and the numbers, as I said, I don't have it, I'll forward it to you tomorrow, but the numbers were very reasonable. So I don't know whether that company that bid that, we might want to just reach out to them also,
we can
because
do that.
I did come across that, so.
Okay.
Just one last question, and I should remember this, but I don't. Currently, our stumps are taken care of by an outside contractor.
Yes.
And we do that for insurance reasons. We don't want to buy our own grinder and do it because that would just be, plus, we don't have the manpower to...
We don't have the
dedicate
manpower,
to
it's
that.
labor intensive, and there is exposure on the workers' compensation side.
I just wanted, thank you for reminding me of that.
All right,
Sandy?
Councilman Bartoloni.
Thank you, Mayor.
We have time. Two things. Just to bring up the bylaws again, I don't know that we have the majority needed to adopt one form or the other of the bylaws, but hopefully we can move at least one aspect along in terms of modifying the present bylaws to adopt Robert's Rules of Order as the method by which we govern our meetings, and to name the borough attorney as the parliamentarian who makes the final decision on the rules. So if we can maybe, I'd like to move that forward and see if we couldn't at least get that part of our bylaws amended at this point.
Are you making a motion?
Yeah, I would make that motion to adopt
Second.
Robert Rules of Order and have the borough attorney be the parliamentarian.
Second.
All right, we're amending the 1927 bylaw. All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? It's a start. It's a start.
He's gonna do one a week. He'll build up to the whole thing.
Okay. All in
You make
favor?
the recommendation.
Aye. Any opposed, any abstained? Okay. Let's, I guess the amendment will be drafted by Mr. Sarlo, and then we can have the vote. It doesn't have to be by a supermajority.
And just one more thing, I don't know if maybe Councilman Mignon could address it or someone else, but last year we had a lot of talk about a farmer's market and maybe the green team coming in. It's starting to get that time of year again where, we're going to be producing gardens.
I spoke to them. They have no interest in taking it and running with it. They don't feel they have the manpower.
The green team?
Yes,
Yeah.
and they did express interest in the concept, and everybody liked the concept. It's just that it's difficult getting people to spearhead something that's going to be pretty
Labor intensive.
It's still in the works. Dumont just opened one. So, I mean, it's the popularity, but it's not a dead idea.
If we can get another committee together with people who would, want to work on it. And then the green team is
Special events committee.
Their project right now is the community garden at the middle school, and that's really taken up all their time now for the spring.
All right, I had a question on the sidewalk repairs. While the DPW was doing the grading at the Cherry Blossom Park, it used it mounted the curb on Cherry Muse and went over the sidewalk and cracked it. So there's a slab or two that needs to be repaired. Would there be could we put that in with the sidewalk repair?
The funding would be allowed. When I drafted the ordinance to provide the funding, the language is general enough for public grounds. The contract, we would have to look at the contract and whether we could do a small change order. I'd have to get an estimate on the work and just talk to the borough attorney about it and see if we could add it to that particular contract. We'll look into it.
It's just one slab.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I had. Now we're up to new business. Any new business? Councilwoman Murphy.
Now that you're speaking about the Cherry Blossom Park, I was looking at the numbers, and I think we need to reallocate.
Oh, wait a minute. Before we get into new business, sorry, I just got to stop you there because there's a memo that is on the dais from Alan dated today, April 15th, regarding the utility audit, which, Alan, could you explain it to me? Because
Yes.
maybe the regarding is wrong because it says utility audit, but it speaks about equipment and road resurfacing and equipment and vehicles.
Yes, I have asked the Pascack Valley Cooperative, which is a cooperative pricing group, whether we could partake in the bid that they put together when add-on awarded for utility audits for all of their participating towns. In order for us to do that, we had to join the Pascack Valley Cooperative for this single purpose. Our application went to Westwood, who is the lead agency. They sent our application down to the state of New Jersey. Along with that is the agreement that we signed off on. When the state got the agreement, they found some flaws within the agreement, which does not comply with the charter, basically, of the Pascack Valley Cooperative. So they went back to the lead agency saying, you have to amend your agreement, send us a revised agreement, or amend your charter, basically, for these other purposes, none of which had to do with the utility audit. They had to do with these other items, such as road reconstruction instead of road resurfacing and drainage work. So they have to go back and amend the agreement that they submitted on our behalf. I will see Bob Hoffman at the Joint Insurance Fund meeting Thursday night, and I will speak to him about about the agreement and where we stand now with joining the cooperative. It should not be an impediment to us joining. It has really nothing to do with us. It's the forms that are being supplied to the state. So as soon as the correct forms are done, I'm sure we'll have the go-ahead to join, and then can issue our contract to the utility company for the audit. All right. Now, new business. Kathleen.
Thank you. Just in regards to Cherry Blossom Park, I was over there last week. They've really done a great job with getting it graded and leveled, and it was really good. And it seems that we probably will need to allocate some more money from the light reserves from the open space to put towards completion of the renovation. So I'm asking to reallocate $8,000 to put towards Cherry Blossom Park.
Matt?
Al?
That 8,000, where does that number come from, and what does it entail?
Signage, pots for the trees. There is mulch, there's other equipment that's needed.
Who's making this request? What group is making the request for $8,000?
The beautification.
Beautification's making the request? Does beautification have money in its trust account for the $8,000?
Well, they've already put, I believe, some toward it.
Okay, but that didn't answer my question. Do they have money in their trust account to pay for it?
Not the whole thing.
How much do they have? You asked for the trust accounts for rec. Why didn't you ask for the trust account numbers for beautification?
This is just something that just came up.
And is there accounting of what we've spent so far?
John said the costs have been minimal. They have not, I know you were asking for gas and saws. He said it's been very minimal. They haven't expended a lot. They've had to spend money on taking a lot of chippings away from the trees.
But is there a tally of how much time and
He hasn't
money we've
given
spent
that
over
to me
there?
yet.
Have to get that from John Lynch.
Because it looked like they're working overtime to get that done. I mean, I saw guys working out there past 5 o'clock. So, you know, John's overtime's budget is taking this into account also, the time he's spending over there.
Yeah, he said it hasn't really,
I haven't seen anybody working overtime.
Well,
I go by every day.
I was there 3 days in a row when they were there past quarter 5 when I came home. That was last week.
And I've seen DPW workers working Sundays recently, when I don't know why they're working on Sunday. I mean, it was just blowing leaves in a parking lot. I have to assume that the time spent over at Cherry Hill is taking them away from their other duties. So there's other costs that are being incurred. But in terms of, you know, robbing from Peter to pay Paul here, I would like to know what monies beautification has before we take money away for these lights that we're trying to put money away every month or every year so that we can have these lights, so.
I went to this week's beautification meeting, and beautification barely gets anything from open space. Beautification donated $1,000 from their plant sales to subsidize the purchase of the pots needed for the tree nursery. The pots are going to cost $4,500?
Well, I included shipping, I'm not sure what the final number would be. I put not to exceed 4,500, Mayor. You probably
The pots are gonna cost about $4,500. We already have the fencing in the budget. We already have the curbing in the budget. The wood chips are either chips from the trees that were removed from the park, or they were donated free of charge. The mulch, again, is mulch that we had down at our recycling center. Our mulch, so the mulch didn't cost us anything. Some of the equipment down there, I think a backhoe or something like that, has been donated. Mr. Embarato has agreed to do some hydro seeding as a donation. I can see that the park is moving right along and should be ready by Arbor Day for use to the public. I'm going to give a more detailed report of my council comments at the end, because I have, the good news to report from Green Acres and things like that. But and this week, the Shade Tree is meeting and Rec is meeting, and I'm going to see if I could get them to contribute towards completion of the tree nursery portion of it. The plan for the park has been adopted and approved by a vote of the members of the beautification committee. So next it's going to be presented to Rec and Shade Tree for their comments and approval, so that everybody is on board as to what the final park is going to look like. I'm only concerned with phase one of the park for this year, which is grading, the removal of the trees, the tree nursery portion, and then we can continue with phase two by submitting an application to Bergen County Open Space in June or July, and see if we can get the money that's needed so that we can realize the dream that the three organizations came up with when it supported the purchase of the property. So that's where we are.
You said the pots came to, or you're estimating $4,500, and beautification put $1,000, I guess, in their trust account towards that. Where did the other $3,500 come from?
Well, we don't have the other $3,500 yet.
Right now, I have it charged to the, I have the $4,500 charged to John's Public Buildings and Grounds account.
Which we didn't budget for.
No, he didn't anticipate, this expense, so, but he'll have to absorb it until, if I can offset it with $1,000 from beautification, that'll reduce the impact on his budget. Any donations I get will reduce the impact on his budget,
I'm not done working on the pots yet. As I said, I'm going to Recreation meeting this week, and I'm going to the Shade Tree meeting this week.
Do we know how much beautification has in its trust account?
I wasn't prepared to answer that question. I can, Mayor, if you'll excuse me, I can go look it up in my ledger and tell you what's in that trust account as of, I'm through February. I'm not caught up yet, but I'm through February.
I would like to know.
Okay.
Also, the lighting. Did we get an estimate for what the lighting is?
The lighting is phase two. The lighting on the rest of the park has to await until we can go out for a grant or put money into next year's capital budget or something, because we just can't, there's no money in the budget to complete the park this year. Just can't do it. just the reality.
Mayor, how many trees were actually wound up being removed?
Oh, I don't know.
42.
42.
42.
42 mature trees were removed.
They were various sizes.
Well, they were all mature, they weren't.
Not all of them were.
No.
Because they were...
No, they weren't all sort.
All right.
They weren't
They were tall.
Some of them-
They were tall trees.
Some of them were
Because
dead.
it's blank, you could...
A couple of them were liabilities waiting to happen, leaning towards people's homes.
There were probably like 3 big ones, and then the rest were just 10, 12, inch, 14.
Believe me, there wasn't one tree that was cut down that shade tree didn't approve.
I have pictures here if you'd like to see.
No, I walked the property enough. I know what it looked like back there.
It looks better. You don't think so?
Yeah, well, I mean, there wasn't, it's not a high barometer, mark to improve upon. I mean, it was a dumping ground, essentially.
It looks better.
We bought a dumping ground.
Anthony?
Yeah, not to make it partisan, but yeah, I just feel like want versus need, yeah, that's great if we can do it within the budget that we have set aside, but play the card shuffling game or we'll bet that credit card indirectly, I don't know, for what it's worth.
Okay, Mayor, I have $10,313.41 as of the end of February. I haven't updated the number.
So they had
February 28th.
over $10,000 in their trust account, and they're asking to take money from rec.
I don't think they're asking to take money from rec.
You want to take money from the lighting and give it to beautification
No.
for this park.
No, it doesn't go to beautification.
Well, beautification's making the request, so it goes
Isn't
to
the park under
beautification.
the auspices of rec as a park?
Well, since the plan hasn't actually gone to rec yet, and it's only really gone through beautification, I don't know that it's rec's idea, because no one's sat down with rec yet.
He just said he's going to
That's
meet
not
with them.
true. REC attended the meeting with beautification where we went through all the revisions to the scheme. REC, Bobby Conway, attended the meeting and she was ecstatic over the fact that the project was being resuscitated with some improvements to it.
Well, that's not the impression that I get.
So, well, then we have a difference of impressions. The difference is I was there, you were not.
Well, the difference
there.
is, I spoke with Bobby today and you didn't.
Well,
How do you
And,
know if you didn't?
well, I spoke with Bobby today.
you spoke, and Bobby doesn't recall?
And they're very much of the opinion that this project should be totally managed, controlled by beautification and shade tree, and that recreation really doesn't want anything to do with this passive park.
You were the one that touted that this park should be under their control because it's a park.
Yes, but guess what happened? We had, the mayor took control of this plan, it didn't get approved by the council, it didn't get approved by beautification, it didn't get approved by shade tree, it was just done. DPW was ordered down to the park, doing the work. Money that we didn't budget for is now coming out of DPW's grounds thing, so that basically when John runs out of money in November, we'll just have to make an emergency transfer, and you're backdooring the costs of this park. That's exactly what you're doing. We already passed resolutions allocating open space, and then you want to come back later after we've allocated it and say, whoa. We got to change this because we have these pots we ordered already, we don't have the money, and we need this, and this for this plan that's already going forward because we've got to put these trees in, so we have no choice. But you didn't want to actually do it during the budget, did you?
Allocation happens all the time.
You didn't want to do it during the budget.
I'm sorry.
You didn't want to do it, it's backdoored.
Let Councilman Bartoloni finish his comment. Because,
You backdoored it, that's fine. Go make your motion, it'll pass 4-3 or whatever it will, and let's just get it done, because we have another meeting starting at 8 o'clock.
There's a
So just
motion on
make
the
your
table
motion.
for $8,000 to be taken from the lighting for the rec, to put toward the Cherry Blossom Park.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. We've had lots of discussion. Do we have any more discussion?
Should anybody ask the rec what they think about taking the money away from the lights?
I don't
Well-
think that matters much, Councilman.
When we reallocated, and I asked that exact question during budgeting, and I said to Al, did you go over with REC all of these changes you just made? He said, no. So I assume that's our procedure. I then called up Bobby Conway and talked to her briefly about this. I said, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I just want a general idea how you feel about some of these changes. And I said, did any other council person reach out about these changes at that time? She said, no. So if we're going to create a new standard, because we don't like what's happening. But let me qualify my second. My second comes from this. We've already begun this project. That property was an eyesore. It got lots of political banter. I said on the record, I'll say it again, would I have bought that property if I was on the council? No. But we now own it. So we can either leave it a dump and an eyesore and let it drag down our town, or we can, do something with it, revitalize it. I'm for revitalizing. I'm for making the town look nicer. If it costs an extra $8,000, which kills me because I didn't want to come from lighting. When lighting was reduced at the budget, on the record, I said I am against reducing lighting because I want the lighting for KGB. I was one who argued that we shouldn't reduce it to the current level it is. Do I want to reduce it another 8? No. Will I argue for the lighting to get a bigger portion of open space next budget, which, with any luck, will be videotaped, which was my request? Yes, I hope it will. But we're here. We're already into this project. We can make it Democratic, Republican, or any other garbage you want to make it. We're doing this. Let's finish it at least, phase 1 with some sense of pride. And then if you want to argue about phase 2, I agree. Let's argue about it. But at this point, to simply say, okay, well, let's penalize one group or another group. If we need to reallocate from beautification back into rec, we can do that again. But we have a motion, we have an idea. Let's move forward. If you want to discuss making a change later, I'm perfectly open to that. But sitting around here and arguing over the next election, no, I'm not for that. That's why I seconded it.
So let's vote, let's do it.
Well, just if I could respond to that briefly.
Okay.
Because, first of all, you made my point brilliantly. We're already into the project, so we need to reallocate the money, which is exactly what I said. But more importantly, if you don't want to take the money from the lighting, which you didn't want to take money last time, I think sprinklers reduced it last time. Beautification has over $10,000 in its trust account, but you don't want to touch that.
No,
that money you don't want to touch, you want to take it from the lighting.
When we get the numbers, we could absolutely argue that. We could absolutely make that change later. I'm just simply saying, for sake of expediency, let's just make this move now. Let's fund it. If you feel it should come from beautification, let's get all the numbers in front of us, and let's correct it. We can do it in another council meeting. Our hands aren't tied by approving this. We're just funding what we need to fund, and then if we want to go back and say, listen, a more equitable change would be all of it come from beautification or half of it coming from beautification. I'm all for that. I am. Just let's do it, and we can fix it later because we need to fund it now. Unless I'm mistaken.
Ed?
Why can't we say we've done enough? It's been graded, it's been mulched, we've got to spend more money, and it's done then. And that's phase 1A.
And leave it unfinished.
We'll pace ourselves. We don't have to gobble it up one shot.
All right, let's
We
have a
took
roll call.
42 trees
please.
down, and we mulched it, so that should be enough.
Let's have a roll call.
Councilman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Estrada?
Yes.
Councilman Paula?
No.
Councilman Bidnon?
No.
Councilman Bartolome?
No.
And Councilman Zabarella?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Alan, while we're on the, may I ask a question of Alan, please? Mayor?
Okay.
While we're on the topic of this park, can we get a full accounting of what was spent there and what's being reimbursed under Green Acres and what was not reimbursed under Green Acres? I understand that part of the demolition may or may not have been, part of the remediation may or may not have been, but I'd like to see a tally of what was included and what's not included.
I can't do that for you. What I can do is I can tell you whatever documents we have submitted to Green Acres, I can provide that to you. You have to understand that the Green Acres program has a number of different funding formulas, and they have a number of different caps. And unfortunately, I'm not well-versed enough to be able to explain those formulas and caps to you. Lisa Stern, who looked over all the information I submitted, and I can show you what I submitted, has made a determination on what is reimbursable back to us.
That's all I'm asking. What's reimbursable, then what's the balance that was not reimbursable? You should know that.
Yeah, that I
For
can
each
give
of
you,
the
but I
items,
can't
yeah.
explain to you.
No, I'm not asking,
Why I asked for
no.
$50,000 for demolition, we only got 30.
No, I understand that they have their program required. I just want to know if we spent 50,000 demolition, we got reimbursed for 30 and not for 20.
Yes.
We spent 60,000 on remediation, we got 10,000 versus 50.
Yes, I have all of those numbers.
Thank you.
All right, any other new business? Can I have a motion open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Yes.
Greg Green, 193 Just a couple of comments on Cherry Blossom Park. First of all, I'm also a member of beautification. There was no request made for $8,000 at our last meeting. We donated $1,000 to it. Our open space, our trust other money is money that's used. We raise that money through plant sales, garage sales. At our last meeting, there was never a request made of the council for $8,000. I just want to get that straight. Secondly, as far as that park being a dumping ground, I was born and raised in River Edge. I went to Cherry Hill School. That was never a dumping ground. The south end of town has lost two parks, Holly M. Davis and the park where 70 Grand Avenue is now. There used to be a park there. There's no parks in the south end of town. So it wasn't a dumping ground. There was a house there. There was a play school there. So I just want to set the record straight about those topics. Thank you.
Anybody else? Casey?
Casey Cars, Adams Avenue. You were talking about the stumps needing to be grinded before, and you had $5,000, I think you said, for something like that. Why not use the equipment that DPW has to dig them out of the ground? Granted, you might run into one or two that the machinery that they have wouldn't be able to do it. But if you're doing the sidewalks, I would assume when the tree fell, it also destroyed the curb.
We have, I think the conversation was, the information is that we have 300 stumps in town that have to be,
Take a lot of money
that have
themselves.
to be ground. And the majority of the stumps that have to be ground have nothing to do with the trees that fell during the hurricane. The money that we have allocated for slab replacement and repairs are only limited to the tree damage, to the sidewalk damage from the trees during the hurricane. Most of the trees where stumps need to be ground, the base of the tree is so wide that if you started to lift it up with heavy equipment, you'd be breaking water lines and breaking sewer lines and ripping up perfectly good sidewalks, which is why, the recommendation is to grind those stumps rather than to just rip them out with a, heavy piece of equipment.
Got a couple other questions.
Yes, Mr.
The
Conley.
park down there, didn't they also previously say there was asbestos from the house that was there or whatever?
No, the report that we had was that there was found evidence of a chemical called chlordane in the soil, which is a insecticide. No, chlordane is not an insecticide. It was an insecticide that was used during farming in the early part of the century, probably all over town. So we had 6 inches of the topsoil removed. We had it taken to be disposed. We had 6 inches of new topsoil put in its place. We got a clean bill of health, and knock on wood, we just received notification on Friday that we are getting the rest of the money from the State Green Acres program.
Another question, will your bike path, you you were talking about on Fifth Avenue. I believe it was Ed or Al brought it up with the speed and having bump outs, this and that, and friction. The only friction I've ever seen up there is when I'm out on this, coming back from Van Saun. The cars are doing about 50 to 60 miles an hour up there. Put some friction up there, on four wheels with red and blue lights. That'll slow them down. And the bike path, that you just become, you're a moving target. Whether you're on one of these or you're on a bicycle. It's just like opening your door into traffic. You know, you're just a target. People don't pay attention to what they're doing. So maybe the chief could get his crew to go up there and hand out some tickets. Doesn't take too many. People will get the message, hey, they're out here now, we got to slow down.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to close the hearing to the public?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, can I have a motion to adjourn so we can open up the 8 o'clock meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and attend any meetings or public bodies in which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon.
She lied to me.
In accordance with this act, the mayor and council... I'm trying to give my opening statement, Councilman.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I'm just a little aggravated that a council person lied to me.
In accordance with the act, the mayor and council of the Borough of River has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place posted in the Borough Hall, and notices were sent to the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News. The mission of this governing body is to provide essential services through the establishment and implementation of public policy to safeguard our infrastructure, provide essential services, and to establish a sense of trust and accomplishment with our residents. We do this through research and prudent planning, seeking to minimize risk while improving municipal services. We are sensitive to the needs of our taxpayers while realizing that this governing body cannot be all things to all people within the revenue constraints imposed by state mandates, present economic conditions, and prevailing attitudes about taxation. Again, we have 3 exits in council chambers, 2 to the front and 1 to the back. We are on the record, both audio and video. If you wish to be heard during the public portion of the meeting when we open to the public, you need to only be recognized and then to give us your name and address. You could ask any question or make any comment regarding any matter affecting your interest. If you wish to be seen on the videotape, then you have to approach the microphone. Can we all stand for a moment of silent prayer or reflection? Can I have Councilwoman Murphy lead us in a salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Murphy.
Here.
Councilman Estrada.
Present.
Councilman Capola.
Here.
Councilman Bignon.
Here.
Councilman Bottomoli.
Here.
Councilman Papaleo.
Here.
And Mayor Montero.
Present. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the mayor and council for the work session and regular meeting of April the 1st, 2013?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstain? Can I have a motion to approve the closed session minutes of the mayor and council for January 22nd, 2013, January 28th, 2013, February 19th, 2013, February 25th, 2013, and March 18th, 2013?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All of those closed session minutes were previously reviewed by the council, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain, any opposed, any abstain? All right, there are 4 proclamations that are on the agenda tonight. We have a member of the Shade Tree to accept the Arbor Day proclamation. Is there someone we have our municipal clerk to accept the municipal clerk proclamation. Is there anyone from the American Legion or VFW to accept the poppy?
Joe was supposed to come there, I don't know what happened.
Okay.
For both of these.
Peggy, you want to take?
Peggy
Peggy usually takes it,
can
right?
do the both.
Give it back to you to give to Joe.
Okay, well, I'll deal with that. I know.
Is there anybody here to accept the Loyalty Day
You can
proclamation?
accept that also, Mayor.
Joe was going to accept that also? Maybe Peggy can accept that on his behalf. All right, let me just read the proclamation for Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees. Whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. Whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuels for fire, and countless other wood products. Whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, it is hereby proclaimed that April 26, 2013 as Arbor Day in the borough of New Milford, and I urge everyone to celebrate Arbor Day with me by... did I say?
You said New Milford.
It's ingrained in my brain.
There we Dollar jar every time.
Yeah.
We know where your heart is.
Borough of River Edge. And I urge everyone to plant a tree with me at Cherry Blossom Park to both protect our borough and our trees and woodlands. So if I could present this proclamation to the member of our Shade Tree Commission. Okay. The next proclamation is for the accomplishments of the Office of the Municipal Clerk. Whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government throughout the world. The Office of the Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants. The Office of the Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between citizens, the governing body, and agencies of government at all levels. The municipal clerks have pledged to be mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal public service to all. The municipal clerk serves as the information center for functions of local government and community. Municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the clerk through the participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, country, and international and professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of the Municipal Clerk. Now, therefore, it is hereby recognized that the week of May 5th to May 11th as Municipal Clerks Week, and to extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Denise Don Diego, and to all municipal clerks for their vital services that they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities that they represent.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Mayor.
All right. Whereas the annual poppy sale by the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars has been officially recognized and endorsed through all levels of government, whereas poppies are assembled by disabled veterans and the proceeds of this worthy and fundraising campaign are used exclusively for veterans' benefits for the disabled and needy veterans and the widows and orphans of deceased veterans. Now therefore, it is hereby urged that the citizens of this community recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously through the support and purchase of poppies this year from May 1st to May 31st, which is designated as annual poppy sale days in the borough of River Edge. And I further urge all citizens to support the American Legion Auxiliary at the Sergeant Walter Brown unit of the VFW of the Caldori Claber Frost Post number 876 of River Edge by buying and wearing a poppy. And the second proclamation is, whereas the citizens of this community are extremely proud of this nation's more than 200-year heritage of freedom and loyalty to the ideal traditions and institutions which have made our nation so great, whereas many Americans display their loyalty through careers in public service as members of our armed forces to ensure that our nations remain strong and secure, to defend democracy around the world. Many citizens give their time to greater causes than themselves through charitable, civic, or church activities, and to demonstrate their loyalty by working to improve our country and the lives of its people. Whereas Loyalty Day recognizes the solemn bond between America and its citizens, it provides an opportunity to recognize those who demonstrate their loyalty every day and challenge all of us to find more ways to contribute to the greater good of the country. Whereas this occasion will serve as a reminder of the loyalty from members of the veterans of foreign wars throughout the United States, a loyalty that they display while serving in our armed forces during war times. Now therefore, in recognition of the day of May 1st, 2013, is hereby proclaimed Loyalty Day in River Edge. And we will give both of these proclamations. They're at your house?
Yeah.
Are you will be getting them, bring them by?
Yeah.
Okay,
Before they they come just when they come.
Okay.
They just got here. But one thing, just don't forget to do is to wear your copies, or ask your family to wear their copies too. Because when a veteran sees that there's people walking around with them, they are so proud.
Thank you. Okay, the one appointment and personnel change that we have, Alan, did you have information to, on my revised agenda,
We will,
we were going to amend the hours per week and the hourly rate?
Yeah, but that will be considered in closed session first, and then we'll come out back into open and fill those blanks in.
Okay, very good. On the agenda for members of the public is various correspondence that can be reviewed, if you so wish, by speaking to the borough clerk or the deputy borough clerk. In addition, we have monthly reports that are on file from the police department, fire prevention, the library board, the zoning board of adjustment, and the historic commission. We have tonight the night for liaison reports. They're not listed though. They're listed.
Yes. That's the one.
All right. I know, but usually you list the names and who they are liaison to. Right, do we have any Councilwoman Murphy? Do we have any liaison reports?
Alphonse and Vito and myself met with Superintendent Patrick Fletcher last week and the head of their technology department. So we are engaging, hopefully being able to engage them to come in and evaluate our technology. We're going to give them a listing of all the borough technology, and hopefully they can make some recommendations. And that's it for me.
Okay. Councilman Aquafredo?
I attended the beautification committee meeting this past on the 11th, part-time. I had to leave early. So just lots of ideas about beautification of the town, and a nice banner that will be installed 140 Kinderkamak, I think. 140 Kinderkamak. Very colorful banner advertising a plant sale. And just a review of planting dates for April through May, shortage of volunteers, so basically you have the same people doubling up their efforts. And there is this Mother's Day plant sale, Saturday, May 4th, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. at the firehouse, with flyers are being handed out, so everybody was asked to support this Mother's Day sale, which is the reason I'm informing the council of it. Then I left.
Okay.
Schools, they were closed last week, so they enjoyed another one of their many, many breaks. They have to recharge the batteries, I recognize that. Councilwoman Murphy gave you the highlights of a very constructive meeting that we had, and a very positive meeting. And I believe the assistants will be there, and certainly they'll shorten up our own learning curve. So,
Thank you. Councilman Capola?
Yes, I just met with SCORE today, and I briefed Councilman Murphy on that visit I had today with SCORE. And SCORE's in big trouble. They used to have 200 members plus, and now, being generous, they have 49 members. So myself and the ladies here at SCORE and some of the leadership, we're going to get together, and I'm excited because we're going to revamp this program come the fall, September. So we're going to do a very targeted ad campaign, marketing campaign to people in River Edge who are senior adults, and we're going to inject life back into the SCORE program. So I'm really excited, and we met today, right, ladies? And I can't wait, so it's going to be great. And that's for SCORE. The Historic Commission, as you know, we have an issue ongoing with one of the homeowners in town, and how he feels the designation could adversely affect his home. Oral histories are continually being updated, and we're working on the sample colors for the train station that goes into the New Milford area of town. And that's about it.
Thank you. Councilman Mignolo?
Thank you, Mayor. The Environmental Commission met last Thursday. Unfortunately, we did not have a quorum. I do thank Chairman Greg Ogden, Peggy White, and Jim Miller, who did come, so we almost had a quorum. But they did talk about the preparations and outline some tasks for the river cleanup, which again is scheduled for Saturday, April 27th, from 10 to 2. And just again, hope everybody can come down and participate.
I'll be there.
It is pretty fun, so. In the planning board this Thursday, there'll be a public hearing on amending the master plan to incorporate the natural resources inventory that we spoke about several times. That's it, Mayor. Yep.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Thank you, Mayor. April 20th is the River Edge Run. I'll be there at 6:30 in the morning to help set up. April 21st is Regal opening day, so everyone's invited. I'll email out the time. I think it's around 2 p.m., but I'll email that time out to everyone. The 27th is Little League opening day, so I think that's before the river cleanup. So hopefully you hit Little League opening day and then go over and clean up the river. In terms of just the technology subcommittee, as you heard, we did meet with Marianthi and Superintendent Fletcher. It was a good meeting. I mean, you realize when you look at their equipment that, you know, we're in the dark ages, really, here. But that was actually a benefit in that there's nothing to redo, you're just doing.
Just go up from there.
So that was a positive. We were looking at possible shared service with them as well, in terms of server storage, and that's about it.
Councilman Papaleo.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended Company 2's award dinner for the fire department. They have an award dinner every couple of years, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. It was last Saturday, April 13th at Reds in Carlstadt. Many of the members were honored for years of service. The years of service ran from 5 years to 60 years. It was really great. It was really great. Frank Deneen was there, 91 years old, chaplain for the fire department, Company 2, and former chief. And there was a special honor to, and I'm going to say his name wrong, Jim Licata. I said it right. He was on his way to becoming a chief. He had some personal circumstances that prevented him from becoming a chief, but he gave over 50 years, I believe, of service, had pretty much every other position, and went out of his way to really mentor the younger firefighters, and it was an amazing experience. It was really great to be there. I was honored to have been invited as the liaison and to have shared that. We've already talked about the engine replacement for Company 2, which is out for repair, and the engine replacement, the ladder replacement for Company 1, which will be out for servicing. So I won't go into that. Just quickly, the River Ridge Alliance for Drug and Alcohol Against Drug and Alcohol Abuse is running the walk, or is coordinating the walk with REC. It's scheduled, as Councilman Bartoloni said, on the 20th Saturday. The Alliance is prepared. It has coordinated with Bobby Conway. We thank Bobby Conway. The Alliance thanks Bobby Conway for all that she's done in helping the Alliance with this portion of its fundraising. The funds from the walk will go to many good and beneficial works with our seniors, our community, and students. And so I'd like to, again, thank REC and Bobby Conway for everything they've done to help the Alliance with their portion of the fundraising.
All right, thank you. We have one ordinance on, we have a few ordinances that are on for first reading. Ordinance number 1786. Madam Clerk, could you read the title?
Ordinance 1786, ordinance amending chapter 308 of the Code of the Borough of River Edge by the addition of a section to ban tobacco use in borough-owned playgrounds, tennis courts, ball fields, and athletic facilities.
All right, it's pretty self-explanatory. No smoking in the parks, playgrounds, tennis courts, or ball fields. Can I have a motion to adopt this on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Everybody's reviewed the ordinance. I think Mr. Sarlo has made some modifications to it. We had a presentation by our health department and the county health department. Any further discussion? Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Pacheco?
Yes.
Councilman Paula?
Yes.
Councilman Jones?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
All right, this motion will be published in the newspaper for a public hearing. When is the public hearing going to be, Denise? May 6th. We will hold the public hearing on May 6th prior to voting on the formal adoption of the ordinance. Ordinance number 1787. Denise, could you read the title?
Ordinance 1787, the bond ordinance to authorize the making of a public improvement and the acquisition of new additional or replacement equipment and machinery, new information technology equipment, new communication and signal systems, equipment and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in by and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $350,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment to authorize the issuance of bonds, finance such appropriation, and to provide the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
All right. Alan, could you just explain this ordinance I know very briefly, what are some of the things that it funds?
Yes, Mayor. These were all discussed during the budget preparation process with the Citizen Budget Committee. Some of the things include for the police department, radio replacement program, a computer for one of the vehicles, a police Ford Interceptor utility vehicle, for the fire department, turnout gear, pagers, Scott bottle replacement, the DPW, a dump truck, construction department software, and some entrance signs for the borough.
All right, can I have a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Can I have a roll call, Denise?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Estrada?
Yes.
Councilman Paula?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
All right, this will be advertised, and we will hold a public hearing before final adoption. May 6th also, Denise?
Correct, Mayor.
All right, ordinance number 1788. Could you read the title, please, Madam Clerk?
Ordinance 1788, a bond ordinance to amend the following bond ordinances previously adopted by the Borough Council of the Borough of River Ridge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey. Number one, bond ordinance number 1656, adopted on June 1st, 2009, as amended by bond ordinance 1672, adopted on September 21st, 2009. And number two, bond ordinance number 1729, adopted on April 18th, 2011, as amended by bond ordinance 1744, adopted on December 5th, 2011.
Okay. This is a ordinance just to amend various bonds that we already have open and available, so that any leftover money in these bonds can be put to a related purpose. Can I have a motion to adopt this on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, Denise.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Estrada?
Yes.
Councilman Paula?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
All right. This ordinance number 1788 will be published and scheduled for a public hearing on May 6th. Ordinance number 1789. Denise, can you read the title?
Ordinance 1789, a bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements in, by, and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $500,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of issuance of such bonds.
All right, Alan, could you explain what this $500,000 is going to fund?
Mayor, these things were discussed by the Mayor and Council and the Citizens Budget Committee as part of the budget preparation process. Storm and sewer improvements, our road resurfacing program through the Riverside Cooperative, some additional money for the library roof replacement, library HVAC, River Edge Community Center, and Bogart Road Pocket Park.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Can I have a roll call, Denise?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Estrada?
Yes.
Councilman Paula?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
No.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
Okay. We have one ordinance listed for second reading, ordinance number 1785. Denise, could you read the title to that ordinance?
Ordinance 1785, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a tax bank, NJSA 40A:40-45.14, for the calendar year 2013.
All right, can I have a motion to open the hearing to the public for anyone who wishes to speak on ordinance number 1785 and only ordinance number 1785?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call to open the hearing to the public?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Estrada?
Yes.
Councilman Paula?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
No.
Councilman Bartoloni?
No.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
All right, the hearing is open to the public. Speak on ordinance number 1785. Ordinance number 1785 establishes what's called a cap bank. The cap bank could be either 2% or 3.5%. We received an opinion from our CFO, Borough Administrator, Alan sitting to my right, who recommended that we establish a 3.5% cap bank, even though we may not need to have credit of the 3.5%, that it's fiscally prudent to have to be available should we have emergencies or anything like that. Our budget is below 2% as it presently stands, but it's prudent planning. So that's why the ordinance has been listed for first reading, and now it's listed for public hearing. Would any member of the public like to speak on or ask a question regarding this ordinance 1785, establishing a cap bank of 3.5%? All right, seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All right, can I have a roll call to close the hearing to the public?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Eccleston?
Yes.
Councilman Cola?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
And Councilman Papalato?
Yes.
All right, can I have a motion for the final adoption of ordinance number 1785?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Can I have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Eccleston?
Yes.
Councilman Cola?
No.
Councilman Mignon?
No.
Councilman Bartoloni?
No.
Councilman Papalato?
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, the ordinance is adopted. We have resolutions by consent 13-166 up to and including resolution 13-184. Would any member of the council wish to call out for separate discussion or vote any resolution that's on the agenda? Councilwoman Murphy.
For discussion, 13-181.
13-181, okay.
Just had a question for Alan. Last year, we returned a significant amount of money from this grant. It's like $1,600.
I apologize, I don't have a recollection as to whether it was this grant or whether it was another grant.
If you could just check that next time. I don't know why we would be returning money like that.
Well,
And I'm-
I know the other grant that I'm thinking about,
Sorry,
had-
this Drive
Drive Sober,
Yeah.
had a limit of $50 per overtime hour for the police department. There was a cap, so even though they put in the time on the patrol, there was a certain limit as to how much we could get back. So, they had planned their patrols, they went out and did it, but, based on the hours that we actually worked, that's all we could get back, so it had to be sent back.
All right, is your question answered?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Can I have a motion by consent for the resolutions 13-166? We will take out for a separate reading by our finance chair, 13-182, and then continue with 13-183 and 184.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right. Councilman Mignon, can you read and move 13-182?
Yes, ma'am. Whereas vouchers for the payment of goods and services rendered to the Borough River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee, now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $140,214.09. Capital account, $6,000. Recreation account, $2,550.50. Animal welfare account, $43.80. Trust other account, $6,117.04. Trust other developers account, $5,645.73. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to open the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the hearing is open to the public for any member to speak on any issue affecting their interest. Yes.
Peggy White, 741 Centenary. regarding municipal proclamation. And the first time I came to a mayor and council meeting, or way back in 1956 or 57, the borough clerk at that time was John Thompson, who was a dedicated man who loved River Edge, and he really made the council feel, the mayor and council feel so exciting that that's what brought me back all the time. And I just want to applaud Denise Don Diego for being that kind of a dedicated person who loves River Edge, because we find that she is always there for everybody. And I would like to just applaud her even more than we did before. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to be heard? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Tom Smith, 288 Manning Avenue, River Edge. I appreciate a few minutes of your time. I just want to go back to the what is now called the Cherry Blossom Park and do a quick bit of history. First of all, in this room right now, other than Alan and Denise and some of our longtime residents, none of you were here during what transpired from the beginning. You caught up as best as possible now because history is always hard to catch up on. This occurred during a time when we were very active in getting Bergen County open space money. We redid Memorial Park, we redid the Little Field, the Little League Field, we helped rebuild and redo the middle school. We had almost every year, we got one or more open space and county open space money to do things here within Ridge River. We actually got a significant amount of money for that. Some of them were matching, some of them were not, and we were really able to bring the parkland and the fields and so on up to date. In that light, we continued where we were looking for some more open space within the town, and we went to Bergen County first for Bergen County open space. Pretty sure of the numbers, could be wrong because some time has passed. But I believe that the first grant we got for that area was from Bergen County Open Space, and it was $217,500. Once we achieved that, we then decided that we could get that match to do what we wanted out of Green Acres. Now that took some time because there wasn't a unified government body movement to go for Green Acres. There was some feeling that we didn't want to do that would create some issues in town in terms of the use of the park by our residents and others. And it went on for a while, and eventually it did pass. Once it passed, we had to do a complete inventory of all the fields and parks and everything, and some of them had to be designated, clearly Green Acres material, which was open to anyone, not only in River Edge, but to the state and so on. We did wind up getting that. I think that number was also a match, if I'm not mistaken, to the 217 that we had gotten from the county. Now, I don't know even at this point in time whether we've gotten all of that money or not. I think some of it's still out there, but it's still out there. Once we did that, then we had that meeting that you hear about so often, where Recreation, DPW, the mayor and many of the council members, beautification, everybody was there, and it was a meeting about the concept of what could be done within that park. And there was pretty much uniform agreement on that. It's hard to get 100% agreement in large groups of people, but there was pretty much uniform agreement with that. With that, we came up with a plan, a rough sketch of a plan. Robert Costa helped us with it. We had other help with it, but we did come up with a plan. For a period of time, nothing happened there. It unfortunately became a political football at that point. But where we are now is we're back to where we were. With what Sandy did, the mayor did in getting the field, the park area cleared up and to be made into something that could look very, very nice. You can tell already that it has some real potential. There still is an existing plan for that park area. It has been updated. I think our local architect has helped us with that to some degree. But the intent on this was always to have a place where it would be a place for, as Mr. Caridi mentioned, that the south end of town people would have a park that they didn't have before, that they had lost several parks. It was meant to be a passive park, not one with any rides in it, or swings, or anything else, but just a passive park. Over time, different ideas came up. The idea about putting a tree farm there, when at first I heard about it, I wasn't sure about it, but then I realized that while I was on council in my early years, the council put forth a $100,000 ordinance to buy trees. And I know Alan remembers that because he was here. In 1 year, we bought $100,000 worth of trees because there was a significant blight in the trees within River Edge, and we were losing them. They were complete streets that had no trees at that point. And to consider the fact that if we could plant our own trees, then it wouldn't be 1 year where the payback would be. It would certainly be over time, and be able to furnish the majority of the trees that we need to replant within our community, and the types of trees that we want to plant within our community, and not have to go out for another $100,000 on, or not to have to put $25,000 a year into open space or other areas for trees, made perfect sense to me. So what we've come from, and all of the back and forth that went with it, is we now have the potential to have an area where we will have a tree farm that, once it's established and once it begins to grow, and each year we replenish that which we take out, and it's going to probably take at least 5 years before we get anything out of there. But once that begins, then we'll be able to replenish that every year. At the same time, to create an area that will be a section that will be beautified, and not to any one person's likes or dislikes. Recreation, I heard you say, is not interested in that, because recreation, you got their hands full with parks, recreation, fields, games, running basketball. They really have a big thing. So I can understand why they wouldn't want to be too involved in this. But this is not a ball field. This is going to be just a nice park area, and between Shade Tree and beautification and DPW, I'm sure at the end of that, and every project, and I've been now here 40 years, and every project where those folks have been involved, those projects have always netted something positive for River Edge. So I would ask you all to consider the work that has gone on over the years, and the amount of time and effort that was put in by the volunteers, by the staff, and everybody, and the fact that there is still a large amount of money out there to help us with what the things we want to continue to do forward. This was always a good project. It has the ability to really be a positive end-state project for the municipality. And at this point, when you think about it, even with the work that DPW has had to do, and I know there's been a lot of work that they had to do, I don't believe there's been any overtime expense related to that, or any overtime expense that was related to something else they had to do because they were doing that. I don't think that happened. Yes, they used up more fuel than they would have perhaps if they didn't do that, but it has been done with pretty much within the confines of DPW. The wood chips you see there all came from the trees that came down during the storms, and it went to our own compost site, and we chopped wood chips up and so on and so forth. So we're reusing our own natural resources. This park has the potential, once it is created and done, to be a real key location within River Edge. People can go and say, this was something that was put together primarily by volunteer groups for the community. Nobody was looking to make any extra on this or anything else. It was really just done for the community. And I really hope, and again, I know you all weren't here and you can't understand all the things that went into that. There's 100, probably thousands of hours put into this park and this whole idea to come up with something that is really good for the community. And the bottom line cost, yes, we have the private property and so on and so forth, but it's not a huge amount of money in terms of the payback and the long-term benefit that I think the community get out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Anybody else wishes to address the council? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Karen Blumenfeld. I'm Executive Director of Global Advisors on Smoke-Free Policy, and we're just very pleased that you're all interested in making parks smoke-free for the children especially. It's really important to have the parks be smoke-free because it normalizes smoke-free environments for kids, and we know that most people, 90% of people start to smoke before the age of 18, so whatever leaders in the community can do to help children not start to smoke is very important. And we know that children do start to smoke because they emulate adult behavior. So by making your parks all smoke-free, it gives a very clear message to children that it's normal to have a smoke-free environment, and it's healthy because that's where people go to exercise and engage in recreational activity. It's also really important because it's a major cause of fires, and so we don't know in these hard economic times that it's very expensive to replace the trees and the shrubs, etc., but also from the standpoint of destruction of the environment, and with Earth Day coming up this week actually, it's really important to also maintain the integrity of your parks as well, and it also hopefully will reduce the litter. So we just want to thank you for your consideration of this policy, and they'll be joining 16 other towns in Bergen County that have done 100% smoke-free parks.
Thank you.
And just a note, and Cindy's going to say something too, but I think that Cindy and Al showed you the free sign that the state provides to the town. So at some point between now and May 6th, when you have your second reading, if it's possible, you can let us know how many signs you'll need. So when we come back on that date, we'll be able to bring the signs to you. Okay?
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cindy. I work at Tobacco Free for Healthy New Jersey, an initiative from the state of New Jersey, Office of Tobacco Control. And I was here last time, and I'm thrilled that you decided to move forward with this wonderful policy. And we just came to show support, and we deliver the signs. We usually have them in the back of our car, so you just will have to let us know how many we need, and we bring them in, and we discussed last time, you just put, the ordinance number and let us know where you want those stickers sent.
Great.
And thank you very much for being so active. I was born and raised in Bergen County, so I'm kind of partial to Bergen County.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
All right, anybody else wish to be heard? Can I have a motion to close the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. We do have our special counsel here, so if we want to have council comments, I would ask that they be short, because we have to go into closed session to discuss a matter of litigation. Councilman Papaleo, any council comments?
Just real quick, I wanted to extend my congratulations to Denise on this day. She is outstanding and deserves all the accolades that she has gotten. I'd also like to extend my sincere condolences to the families of those murdered or injured at the Boston Marathon Massacre or tragedy, or however it will eventually be remembered in our history, and I'd like to just say that I will keep them in my prayers, as I know probably everybody else will too.
Councilman Bartoloni.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to echo those sentiments. My thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those injured or killed in the apparent bombing at the Boston Marathon. In terms of what we talked about today, I guess I certainly don't want to rebattle the 2010 election with Mr. Smith regarding the pocket park. That's not my intention. In the history of that park and my opposition to it, essentially, just going back very briefly though, at the time that this park was being purchased and thought about, you had a council and government that was having 15-day furloughs of its employees, that the finance chair at the time described the financial situation of the town as being in dire straits, and we were buying properties there and even in the park, the American Legion property. The original plan that was put forth had a $90,000 price tag, so it was not free. The acquisition costs were being covered through Bergen County Open Space and with Green Acres money, which the wisdom of using Green Acres money is something that perhaps was debated. I have my own concerns with the Green Acre money, accepting it because of the restrictions and the requirements that it imposes on the borough not just on that piece of property, but on all parkland in the borough as a result of accepting that money. But there was additional costs already incurred as a result of that property in terms of demolition costs, the remediation costs of the soil, things like that have not been covered and most likely will not be covered by Green Acres. But really my opposition tonight is simply this, is that we have a budget process. We debate the budget, we debate capital items, we debated allocation of the open space money. And when we debated the budget and set the budget, there were things like the costs for these pots or the work being done at Cherry Blossom by DPW, which were not included. And so my concern is that it's a circumvention of that budgetary process. This council was not briefed on DPW going and doing this work. We didn't approve the plan that is being set forth. No one consulted this council on that project as a body in open session. So that's my opposition to it. My concern is that we as the council, we as the people who set the budget for the borough should be consulted, and it simply should not be done by executive fiat, which I feel as though a lot of the work has been done. And then you're said, well, now this cost is in DPW. Well, okay, but DPW's budget's pretty tight, so either John has to try and do something less with our existing properties, or come November, we have to try and put money back into his budget. Again, it's a circumvention of the budgetary process. That's my concern. We need to be straightforward. If this plan was in the work, it should have been part of the budgetary process from the get-go. It should have been part of capital and should not be done the way it's being done right now. So that is my concern and my opposition to it. Councilwoman Murphy, unfortunately, she just left the room, but I do have concerns where a councilwoman tells me that a committee requested money, and then I hear from a committee member, they didn't ask for that money. I have concerns about that. That's not right. That's just wrong to lie to me and tell me that a committee asked for the money when I believe Mr. Caridi, they didn't ask for the money. That's wrong. That shouldn't happen. Honest, open debate is one thing, disagreeing about the facts. But to lie and misrepresent something, I just find that reprehensible.
Councilman Mignon.
Yeah, I'm not going to belabor the point. I'll just suffice to say I agree with Mr. Barnoli's comments regarding the park. And that's it. I too want to just offer my condolences to the families of people in Boston. I had a friend from town who was up there today and thankful he was okay. And Mr. Carroll informed me tonight that 2 of our police officers were running the marathon too, and thankfully they're okay. So glad everybody's okay. But I said my heart and prayers go out to the families of those who were killed and those who were injured.
Thank you. Councilman Capola.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, also my thoughts and condolences to the tragedy in Boston. And also want to congratulate Denise again. Denise, I like you. No, it's true, I do. And we're going to get more volunteers in this town. I was talking to Bobby Conway. We have 11,000 people in this town, and we're going to get 20 more. It's going to happen. Bobby and I are going to work together. We're going to do also a little ad campaign, marketing. It's going to happen. We can find 20 people in a town of 11,000 to bolster our numbers and help across the board with volunteering. And this Saturday is the 5K, right, in town? I'll like it or not, I'll be representing the mayor and council. I'll be running, and I guarantee you I will come in within the top 552 runners. So I'm ready. Thank you.
I'll come in 5:53. Councilman Acrobreda.
I'm very sorry about the events in Boston. Things changed quite a bit since 9/11, and this is a reminder that we really cannot let our guards down, even though it affects our perceived liberties guaranteed by the Constitution. With Denise, I mean, without giving out my age, but I was here when the torch passed from Grace to Denise. So it has been a pleasure through my years serving on boards, and I'm glad that she had some recognition for that. Thank you.
Councilwoman Murphy.
I'd like to reiterate, my thoughts are with the people of Boston, the marathon runners that trained so hard to make it there this day, to have it ruined. This tragedy affects us all. And a few other things. I intended the Riverkeeper roast on Friday for Captain Bill Sheehan, and the money was raised for the Little Ferry First Aid Squad and the Hackensack Riverkeeper. And the Bergen County Historical Society is planning a wine tasting fundraiser to be held on August 24th. They have a number of wineries already confirmed, and that should be an excellent event. And I ran into the Ciancio brothers last week. They're getting lots of interest in the Hoffman Cruise project, and they anticipate new tenants going into the Blockbuster area quite soon.
Okay, I would like to report that the Bergen County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund has awarded the borough a silver certificate for its 2012 Safety Incentive Program. The certificate also came with a check for $1,000 that we will allocate in due course. The other towns that were awarded the silver certificate include Glen Rock, Harrington Park, Tenafly, and Westwood. I also attended the Riverkeeper fundraiser. I spoke to the Riverkeeper, who indicated that he would like to be involved in a possible joint venture with the River Edge Borough and the Environmental Commission to redo our boat launch, to hopefully put in a floating. The problem we have now with our boat launch, I think Neil Carroll spoke about it at a prior meeting, is that there's so much silt there that when the tide is out, you can't really launch a boat. Riverkeeper has, and I already put in an application with the Mosquito Commission to do some dredging as a short-term solution. The Riverkeeper has a better idea, which is to put in a floating dock that would be paid for through a federal grant, and that he would be seeking the borough's support to apply for the grant to put in a floating dock. The floating dock could be good because it would not only be used for recreational activities along the river, but it could also be used by our EMS and our fire department, because we have a marine unit, we have a couple of boats, we've assisted in evacuation of other towns through our interlocal agreement during flooding, particularly in New Milford across the river. So I'm looking forward to working on that project with the Riverkeeper. I also attended the fire department awards dinner, and I was impressed that when you counted up the number of years of service in the room, it came out to a staggering, I think it was 575 combined years of service, just for the members that were in the room, some of them which had served for 60 years. We had a couple of 45 years, we had some 40s, some 30s, some 25s, just a staggering amount of dedication to public duty that was absolutely touching. Regarding Cherry Blossom Park, when I was elected, it was an unfinished project. When I look around in this town, I see many unfinished projects. My idea is just to pick up the shovel or the broom and get the job started and to finish the project. We're doing it on little more than spit and elbow grease, as much as we can do in-house. We are getting 300 trees delivered by Arbor Day that we are going to plant with the help of volunteers. Right now, I think the Shade Tree Commission spends between $300 and $400 to plant a tree. If you take the 300 trees that we're getting donated to us and you put them in the tree nursery that we're developing at the Cherry Blossom Pocket Park, and you multiply that times the $350, it's more than $100,000 worth of trees that will be available in years from now to replace some of our canopy that we're losing every time that there's a storm. And that is a gift that keeps on giving. It provides shade, it provides respite from the heat, it provides habitat, it provides oxygen. And we can, once we get the pots in the ground, which are only going to cost us $4,500, then we can use them over and over again to replace our tree stock. There shouldn't be anyone that's against the project. The project was put in the back of the park because we have residential neighbors that have single-family homes back there, and it's a perfect spot for it because it slopes downward, and it will be a natural buffer zone for the neighbors, so that because we're doing a passive park, by having 300 trees there, it's going to be a natural buffer zone. It's absolutely the perfect thing to do, and I really can't see why there's opposition. If we're going to get $100,000 worth of trees, why there would be opposition to spending a few $1,000s on the necessary pots that we need to put in the ground. So that's where I stand on the pocket park. I want it finished so I can enjoy it, and then I'll move on to the next project in town. Everybody is on board, including beautification, shade tree, and recreation, and it's a hands-on project for me, and I'm going to be very proud of it someday. Proud of it now. It's just a great improvement. It's a great improvement. We're doing it on a shoestring. Hallworth spent $90,000 on the tree farm, and our tree farm isn't even going to cost $20,000 between the fencing and the pots and whatever. And it's also probably a textbook example of recycling, because we're using the wood chips that we got from the trees that had to be taken down. We got the mulch from our recycling center, and everything is just being recycled. It's absolutely a textbook example of low impact public improvement. And with that, I want to just give my condolences and heartfelt prayers to any and everyone who may have been injured in the Boston Marathon. And that's it. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Thank you. All right, we're going to go into closed session.